Wasn't lying a minute ago when I said it's been one of those weeks. It really has. It's been crazy. Tuesday we get a call. I'm here at church. I'm working on stuff coming up. It's Holy Week's coming up, and my daughter calls and she's beside herself because one of our dogs had gotten away. And to this day, really, we have an electric fence around the yard, one of those wired, you get the collar and the dog gets shocked. Sounds inhumane, but we've got a dog that walks right through it, so I don't know how inhumane it actually is. But one of the dogs, Savvy, she's never needed it to this point. She's a Labradoodle and she's fairly large. She got into the pond behind the house, and my daughter is just beside herself. So she comes back, and I said, I'm telling her, well, give her a bath. She smells bad. Now give her a bath. Well, to make matters worse, Savvy had put a hole in herself somewhere back here. She'd hit a stick or something. I don't know what it was. Big puncture wound. And all I'm thinking is, and here's my daughter. She calls up again, and now I can hear my son in the background. We have to go to the vet. Well, going to the vet these days is about as expensive as going to the doctor. So I'm thinking, okay, what can we do? So we've got that going on. And I get home, and I have to take care of the vehicles. That's one of the jobs you do. My son's almost there, but not quite. And I go to drain the oil in my daughter's car, and there's about a quart left. Out of 5. 1 out of 5, okay? And I said, at what point were you going to check this? And she just thinks, well, it breaks, we'll get another one. No, we won't. It's just been on and on and on. You just feel like you're dragging. I need some life. So then I'm in Menards. And at Menards, I'd never seen this before, but in the one in Buffalo now, they've got a grocery section. It's kind of cool. I'm not going to need to go anywhere else. They put some clothes there. And, I'm going to be set for life. I'm never shopping anywhere else. Well, they've got these energy drinks called Rippets. And we had them overseas, and they came in these little tiny cans. And it's some kind of chemistry and some sweet pop thing, and you drink it, and your lips tingle. It's just got all kinds of good stuff in it that makes you all hyped up. And they said, these are big cans. So I bought a box of Rippets. And I showed them to Jake, my future son-in-law, who also had them overseas and kind of got hooked on them. And he loved the big can too. And so now we're drinking Rippets because we're dragging, and life is just so tough. Did you listen to Ezekiel tonight? Sometimes I feel like I am in that valley of dry bones. And not that I'm in the valley, but that I am the dry bones in the valley. You hear this, Ezekiel, and the first thing I remember, I don't know if you watched the movie Pulp Fiction, but I hear Samuel Jackson in the back of my head. He's kind of paraphrasing Ezekiel in that movie. And you need to know that Ezekiel, as it was written, is full of offensive, violent imagery. Weird stuff in that book. We take bits and pieces of it, and this that we've got here, in the reading tonight, we think it sounds kind of beautiful because here comes the Spirit of God all over these dead, dry bones, and all of a sudden they come back alive. But you got to realize that when this was written, it was written to a people that were grieving. Israel had been driven into exile, and they were suffering terribly at the hands of the Babylonians. Those dry bones got there for a reason. The atrocities that were committed against this people. It's not all sweetness and roses in Ezekiel, but there's hope. And the hope doesn't come in the form of a can that says "Rip It" on the side, or it doesn't come in the form of a can that says Mountain Dew or anything else, but it comes in the form of a vibrant and real Spirit of a living God that blows through the valley and is able to restore life where there was none. I love that imagery. At this point in our Lenten journey, we're talking that imagery because we know what's going to come next. Palm Sunday is next Sunday, and we remember the triumphal entry into Jerusalem of Jesus riding on a donkey. And just a few short days later, 5 days to be exact, on Friday, he was tried and condemned, crucified. So we're talking about life because we don't want to lose sight of the fact of where that life comes from. Bad week again, but I went out last night for a walk. It was so nice. I got home and it's late now. So I thought, I'm taking the dogs on. I had a choice. I can run with the dogs or I can walk with the dogs. I was feeling just kind of energy-less. So I thought, I'm going to walk with the dogs. This is a nice little 2.5-mile loop. And, Savvy now, it's got this hole in her, and it's healing slowly. And Dora's the other dog. She's kind of squat and fat and just a Shepherd Lab mix, but they're both big. And Savvy, the choice we got is we can either put this cone of shame around her head so she doesn't lick it, or I had the bright idea, I just put a T-shirt on her. Well, now to make matters worse, I'm out walking the dogs looking for a little peace and quiet along with everybody else in Buffalo, and they got to stop and tell me how cute my dog is because I dressed her up. I'm thinking, go away. I don't need this. It's not cute, But there's life. There's life in some of the strangest places. We get around the bend, and there is the most magnificent wind blowing in off the lake, and it had that lake smell to it, that life smell. The ice is just freshly gone, and the water's cold, and it's still very clean and clear. There was life in that for me. I slept like a dead man last night. I would have been in the valley of dry bones. I woke up this morning and I realized I hadn't moved. You ever have nights like that? I felt pretty good. The point is that there is life along the way for those of us that look and take time to find it. Sometimes it comes in the eyes of your husband or your wife or your son or your daughter looking up at you and telling you, Mom, Dad, I love you. Sometimes it comes in a wonderful breeze off the lake. Sometimes it comes in ways that you never would have thought possible. But this is the gift of a loving God. And the very last verses in Ezekiel, they talk about it. 13 says, you will know that I am the Lord when I open your graves and I bring you up from your graves, O my people. This is the time of year when Minnesotans come out of their graves, called their house, right? They open the door, they open the windows, we come out because there's life again. But God goes on, He says, I'll put my spirit within you and you will live. I will place you on your own soil and you shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken and will act. God acts on our behalf to bring us life and to bring us hope.